Hey, everyone. Hoping everyone is good. Hoping everyone is well. Y'all already know. This episode is for people with open hearts, big heart space to just let people in, just to, the ones who have nurturing spirits, the one who love hard, the one who intervenes in situations that many times don't have nothing to do with them. It's just part of the fact that you don't want to have and witness people receive a blow in their life. But, often those blows are the redirection that people need in order for them to get themselves together and change. So if you are the person who allows people to take you in, you often feel sorry for people when it's their mistakes that they make. You bail them out, give them money, provide them with things when, in your heart of hearts, they ain't trying. Oh my goodness, this episode is for you. I'm going to cover you in prayer as well. But I'm also going to soothe your loving heart. I'll give you some facts. I suffered through this for a long time. And baby, when I got tired, I just let the gavel down and said enough is enough. And I always say when you get tired enough, you'll stop. You'll stop letting people mistreat you. You'll stop allowing people to just do you wrong. And as much as people say, reciprocity is not something that we all need at a certain time, reciprocity is a course of action, right? I give, you give. Not immediate, but what I'm saying is, if I can be the soldier for you, when I am weak, can you be that soldier for me? Okay. All right, let's get into the episode. I want us to stop being people's go-to when they mess up. Many of us are equipped with the tools to understand the concept of consequence. This excludes anyone who doesn't have the capacity to think due to deficiencies in mental capabilities. But I'm sure everyone who hears my voice understands consequence very well. Because what you put in, you will get out. This is the notion of karma. Karma is not designated to be an all negative concept. If I do right by others with honest intent, good will come to me despite how they treat me. Your karma is determined by you and you alone, not by the intrusion of a jaded representative who decided to not do right. That's their karma. And they will see it eventually. But what about when we intrude, interrupt, disrupt, and become a part of someone else's lesson in order to save them from what's meant for them? Because if you stay long enough, my baby, you'll inherit the consequences of the result. Your job is not to intervene inside of a storm brewing that never had your name on it and was never coming in your direction. You elected to stand blocking the storm, and for that you reap the consequences for the intended target. When we step in to save someone from their lessons, we interfere with the natural order of growth and accountability. Lessons, no matter how painful or challenging, are designed to mold, shape, and strengthen the individual experiencing them. And they force people to confront their decisions, reflect on their choices, and ultimately grow into the version of themselves that they were meant to become. When we intervene, we unintentionally rob them of the opportunity to develop resilience, wisdom, and self-awareness. It's important for us to recognize that the discomfort we feel watching someone struggle often comes from a place of empathy or love. But love is not always about rescuing. Sometimes love looks like standing back and allowing the process to unfold. If we keep swooping in to protect someone from the consequence of their actions, they never learn the invaluable lesson of cause and effect. Growth requires friction. It demands that we face what we've created head on. I want to give you an example, okay? So I just created a scenario. We got Jasmine and Caleb, okay? Now Jasmine has been dating Caleb for 3 years. And Jasmine was deeply in love with Caleb, but she often found herself stepping into fix his problem mode. Caleb had a pattern of being irresponsible with his finances. He'd overspend, miss bill payments, and borrow money from Jasmine with promises to pay her back. And Jasmine wanted to support him, would cover his rent or loan him money, believing she was helping him get back on track. Over time, Jasmine noticed that Caleb wasn't making any changes. He continued to mismanage his money. Always assuming Jasmine would step in, she began to feel resentful, especially since Caleb wasn't showing much gratitude or effort to change. And despite her frustration, Jasmine didn't want to see Caleb struggle, so she continued bailing him out, hoping that he'd eventually learn. One day, Jasmine's best friend pointed out the pattern. She said, "Jasmine, I know you love Caleb, but you're not helping him. You're enabling him to stay stuck. He has no reason to change because you keep rescuing him." And at first, Jasmine resisted the idea, but I love him. I don't want to see him suffer, she argued. Her friend replied, "Love isn't about saving someone from their own choices. It's about supporting them while they learn to save themselves." Let me say that again, because it's from Jasmine, friend. Baby girl said, "Love isn't about saving someone from their own choices. Here is the key. It's about supporting them while they learn to save themselves." Okay, I'll go on. That conversation stuck with Jasmine. The next time Caleb came to her asking for money to cover his car payment, Jasmine made a decision. "I can't do this anymore, Caleb." She said gently, "I love you, but you need to take responsibility for your finances, and I can't keep stepping in and saving you from the consequences of your choices." And of course, Caleb got angry. He said, "So you're just going to let me lose my car? I thought you loved me." Jasmine, though hurt, held her ground. "I do love you, Caleb. But love doesn't mean sacrificing my own peace or enabling behavior that's holding you back. If you want to keep your car, you figure it out." And for a while, Caleb struggled. He missed a few payments and faced some penalties. At one point, his car was repossessed. It was humiliating for him. And he blamed Jasmine at first, but over time, Caleb began to reflect on his own actions. He realized that he'd been relying on Jasmine to shield him from consequences instead of addressing his own habits. See, the discomfort pushed Caleb to change. He took on a second job, created a budget, and started paying off his debts. It wasn't easy, but the process taught him discipline and accountability. Eventually, Caleb repaired his financial situation and even bought another car, this time with his own savings. And one evening, as they sat together, Caleb looked at Jasmine with sincerity in his eyes. "I was so mad at you when you wouldn't help me, but now I get it. You weren't abandoning me. You were giving me the push that I needed to grow. And thank you for loving me enough to let me learn my lesson." This scenario just simply illustrates the importance of letting loved ones face their own lessons. Jasmine's decision to step back wasn't easy, but it allowed Caleb to take ownership of his life. By setting boundaries and refusing to enable his behavior, she not only protected herself, but also gave Caleb the space to grow into a more responsible and capable partner. We often do this with our kids. We do this with our significant others. We do this with family members and friends. I want to strongly say this word, but then I want to lightly say it as well. We allow people to use us, right? And there is this teeter between that strong feeling and a soft feeling, because I do believe initially many people don't go in wanting to use us. But eventually what happens is when we give people the space, they do. Because we will always say yes. We will always recover their deficits. We'll always be the go-to. And so after a while, people become dependent on us. And we find ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation. Because as we have served to be their go-to, pulling back means that, like Caleb, will feel that we don't love them or honor them enough to be the backup. But sometimes we get tired of being the one who always backs people up and don't get anything in return. You have to understand that intervening can also create a pattern of dependency. If someone always knows they have a safety net in you, they may never take ownership of their actions or their decisions. They may even begin to expect your interference, viewing you as a crutch rather than a supporter from the sidelines. This dynamic is not only exhausting for you, but it stunts their ability to grow. Independence and self-reliance are built through perseverance, not through perpetual rescue missions. Oh, goodness. I'll say that again. The dynamic is not only exhausting for you, but it stunts their ability to grow. Independence and self-reliance are built through perseverance, not through perpetual rescue missions. Stepping into someone else's storm may lead to you being emotionally or physically drained. You may find yourself bearing burdens that were never yours to carry and trying to shield someone from the rain. You risk being struck by the lightning that was meant for them. And while it's noble to want to protect others, it's also important to protect your own peace, energy, and well-being. You cannot pour from an empty cup and consistently intervene, which depletes you in ways that are often hard to recover from. There's also a spiritual aspect to this concept. We are not all knowing beings. What we perceive as helping could actually be interfering with a divine plan. Sometimes people need to hit rock bottom to rebuild their foundation. By stepping in prematurely, we may delay or derail a lesson that was intended to guide them towards their purpose, and trust that life, the universe, or God has a way of teaching and balancing things out for better than we ever could. The best way to support someone is often by standing beside them rather than stepping in front of them. Offer guidance if they seek it, but let them walk their own path. People learn best when they take the steps themselves, no matter how shaky or uncertain those steps may be. Encouragement rather than intervention is the greatest gift that you can possibly give. And there's also the consideration of boundaries. When we overstep and involve ourselves in someone else's lessons, we blur the lines of where our responsibility ends and theirs begin. Healthy boundaries not only protect you, but also teach others to respect your time, your energy, and the role in their life. Boundaries remind them that while you care, their growth is their responsibility. I want us to reflect on the fact that our journey likely includes hard lessons, painful moments, and realizations that change us for the better. Would you be the person you are today if someone had shielded you from every hardship that you encountered? Probably not. It's those very challenges that shaped your perspective, strengthened your resolve, and gave you the tools to navigate life. Trust that others too have the capacity to endure and emerge stronger. Another aspect to consider is that by intervening, we may inadvertently communicate a lack of faith in the other person's ability to handle their own situation. Even if it's not our intention, our actions can send the message that we don't trust them to figure it out on their own. This can undermine their confidence and create a cycle where they rely on external validation or assistance rather than building their own problem-solving skills. It's worth acknowledging that letting people learn their lessons doesn't mean abandoning them. I want to reiterate that again. Letting people learn their lessons doesn't mean that you are abandoning them. You can still be a source of love, support, and encouragement without taking on their battles. It's about finding the balance between compassion and overreach. Sometimes simply letting someone know you believe in their strength is more power than stepping in to shield them. Rescuing others can also feed into our need for validation or control. We may unconsciously take the role of savior because it makes us feel important or needed, and it's critical to examine our own motives when we feel the urge to step in. Are we truly helping, or are we fulfilling a personal need to feel significant? True acts of love are selfless and are done with the other person's best interests in mind, not as a means to satisfy our own ego. Also, every individual's journey is unique, and what may seem like a mistake or a misstep to us could be a crucial part of their path. Sometimes what looks like a storm to an outsider is actually clearing the way for new growth. We don't have the full picture, and it's not our place to assume that we know better than the universe's design. There's also an important lesson in accountability. Allowing people to experience their consequence teaches them to take responsibility for their actions. Responsibility breeds maturity, and maturity fosters growth. Without this cycle, people remain stagnant, unable to evolve into the higher version of themselves. Last, letting others face their lessons build mutual respect. It demonstrates that you trust them to handle their life and honor their journey as sacred and unique. It's a way of saying, I believe in your ability to navigate this, even if it's hard. Stepping back and allowing people to face their lessons is an act of love, trust, and respect. It honors the divine process of growth and reminds us that every challenge has a purpose. Resist the urge to shield others from discomfort and instead trust that the storms they face will lead to clear skies and stronger foundations. If all minds and hearts are clear, I hope you took that in. I hope you took it in with love and not reserve. Many times we just need a gentle reminder to remind us that we can't be a savior for other people. And many times what people are going through is through their own karmic resolutions. It has to be done. Some things have to be dismantled. And many times all of us have to learn a lesson. And if we intervene in someone else's journey, what we're teaching them is that someone will always be there to rescue them. They'll never, ever become independent. They'll always become dependent on someone else to get them out of the situation that they're facing. Well, if you listened to the last episode, I did announce that my podcast will be going on Patreon. And as of February 3rd, 2025, my podcast will now be available on Patreon. And I have decided to include a once-a-month episode for those who like to listen for free. These episodes will be about 6 to 7 minutes long, but for those who are locked into the podcast, there will be a weekly podcast episode that will publish every Monday. And to obtain the weekly podcast, please consider being the seasoned listener. That's the tier 1 for $1 a month. And as a member, you receive weekly podcast episodes, member-only polls, question and answer sessions, and topic suggestions to have your voice heard in shaping future episodes. You'll get access to podcasts, behind the scenes, updates, sneak peeks into upcoming topics or episodes. And I would definitely shout you out for sure. Okay? Then we have the next tier. It is the season words. It's $5 a month. Y'all, I try to make this thing very, very equitable, because I don't believe in just being in people's pockets. Okay? So the next tier, tier 2, is the season words, $5 a month. It includes everything in tier 1, exclusive spoken word content, monthly unreleased poems, access to written transcripts of spoken word pieces, polls. You get to vote on topics or themes for future episodes of poems and words of the month, downloadable PDF, inspirational quotes or excerpts curated by me. The third tier is the season, so it's $10 a month, and it's everything in tier 1 and 2. We get a monthly live question and A sessions about poetry, season dialogue after dark, exclusive deep dive conversations, and bonus podcast episodes exploring intimate or complex topics. Yeah, we're going to go deep on this one. Personalized shout outs, thank you message for those who are involved in the content, behind the scene vlogs, a look at my creative process, life updates or the making of a podcast or poem, and monthly affirmations or prayers, audio or video messages designed to inspire and uplift. And the last one, the seasoned expert. Baby, you get everything in tier 1, 2, and 3. One-on-one coaching or feedback on writing poetry. A limited number of slots will be available each month. Exclusive Zoom events, small group workshops, prayer sessions, or intimate discussions. And your name that'll be acknowledged as recognizing a top tier Patreon. I wanted to do this because I wanted to build community, y'all. And while Instagram and TikTok and YouTube are relative to you seeing people, there isn't a personal feel for a person. And I wanted to build a community where people were kind of just on the same page, or just willing to learn, or just, willing to sit in a space and we just have conversations, and I get feedback from people. But here's the thing, I don't know all, and I may not be giving something that you want to hear. And so I wanted that opportunity to listen and give where needed. Okay. And so if you are up for it, you can be assigned to whatever tier fits your budget or fits whatever you are inquiring about. And last but definitely not least, in addition, my book and audio version, Roots and Rhythm, will be released on February 3rd. And you can obtain this in 3 ways. Purchase the downloadable book, purchase the audio, or get the bundle, book and audio. And for those who purchase the bundle, you'll get something very, very, very special included. I spent so much time on this project, and I am super excited to release this book of poetry. Links to the Patreon and how to purchase Roots and Rhythms will be posted in the description for the episode. And before we close out, I want to leave you with this. You are not stupid for caring. Your heart is beautiful. It bends and makes space for those who would most likely do the same for you. But strengthen your posture when it comes to those who deliberately use you and who's always have nothing but empty promises when they deliver a notion. Remember, love does not require you to be a doormat, and kindness does not demand you to accept things less than you deserve. Protect the essence of who you are, because people will often mistake your gentleness for weakness. Set boundaries that honor your heart. Don't let the world convince you that caring deeply is a flaw. It is your greatest strength, but not everyone who steps into your life deserves the warmth of your spirit or the sanctuary of your time. Some people are lessons wrapped in the guise of love, and others are mirrors teaching you where you need to grow. Recognize the patterns of those who only show up with words but no actions, and choose yourself in their absence. You were not created to be a placeholder, a convenience, or a stepping stone for someone else's growth. You are a whole universe of value, deserving of reciprocity, loyalty, and genuine connection. So care boldly, but carry wisdom in your stride. Love deeply, but leave room for yourself to flourish. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them the very first time. Your love is a gift. It should never feel like a sacrifice that leaves you empty. Let your boundaries be a testament to how much you've learned to love yourself unapologetically and without hesitation. And until next time, my babies, I hope you join me for February 3rd for our next episode. All right? Goodbye.